What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Uberkooledgarage. On this week's episode, we're going to continue with Ryan's car, getting everything all situated with that, and start jumping into suspension, front and rear. I didn't quite get as far along as I wanted to these last 2 weeks. I have been out of town working. I'm gone roughly 14 to 15 hours a day, and then come home, eat, and go to sleep, wake up, and go right back to work. So these last 2 weeks have been pretty rough, but I'm just about done with that job. Might have the rest of this week to go, but then I should be good there. So haven't really been able to work on either of the cars, but right before I go to bed these last couple weeks, I have been doing a lot of research on the computer that is in the Bug, trying to learn more of the processing systems and all the stuff that it can do. So usually before I go to bed, I'll sit and read a page or two in the forums, or watch a couple of videos about how to tune and do a lot of the little intricate things that this computer does. So actually I'll run through some of that before we get into this video. As you can see, a lot of the wiring loom for the computer is out. I have been kind of digging through, playing with some stuff when I have a moment or two. The fenders are on the car. The front fender's just sitting on here, trying to get an idea for the flares for the rear. But right down there, that sensor right there with the yellow cable to it is actually a cam position sensor for a Subaru. It is a Hall effect sensor, so that is connected into the computer and taking wheel speed from the CV joints in the rear. I do have two, so one of them is going to go up front and measure the bolts on the back of the disc. So with that, I can set up traction control if I need it, which, judging from those tires, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to need it, but we'll see. Along with traction control, I can also set up boost by gear or boost by speed. So I'll be ordering a boost controller here pretty quick, getting that all plumbed and wired in. And then I can also do rolling anti-lag. So that's another pretty cool thing. I also learned that right now the car is running on semi-sequential fuel injection. I will be swapping that over to fully sequential fuel system. That way the anti-lag stuff actually works with the computer. So that's just swapping over a couple wires and changing the fuel map a little bit. So we'll dig into that stuff later. But for now, let's go ahead and hop into Ryan's car, and we'll do the Bug stuff here in the next probably week or two. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Talked about ordering axles. Ryan went ahead and ordered these yesterday, or day before yesterday. They're already here, so this is pretty awesome. These ones are shorter. When I initially did install the axles, one of them is 2 inches longer than the other one, and the long one was too long and the short one was too short. So these are right in the middle. So we'll go ahead and get these installed. I need to crack these open, make sure that all of the CVs and all that are the same. I don't know exactly if that is the whole spiel or what, but we'll crack these open real quick, make sure that these are going to work, and then we will get them installed, get the car back on the ground, and finish up the fuel system. Went ahead and pulled off the fuel drain in the fuel tank. That is what came out of it. So yes, this was a clean bucket when I put it in there, so there was quite a bit of stuff in there. I did also notice that the filter is stuck in there, and what I thought was wet, looks like all of this, all the way around, is JB Weld. So I need to, as you can see, this is the only spot on the whole fuel tank that is wet. So I'm going to definitely have to get this filter out that's still in there. And then maybe I'll sand down the JB Weld and see exactly what's going on with this. Hopefully it's not cracked or ripped or anything like that. So I just need to look at this. I want to make sure that this car is going to be safe. Kind of like what I did with Zach's car. Just went through everything, made sure that everything was safe and he wasn't going to spill fuel all over the place, catch the car on fire. You know, the steering was good, the brakes were good. So we're basically going to do the same thing on this car, make sure that everything's okay before I send it back to Ryan. So I want to double check this, make sure that it's nothing, you know, maybe the actual nut itself was leaking and they just threw some JB Weld on it to help seal it. So hopefully that's the case. If not, we'll definitely have to figure something out, see what we can do. I think actually I might have an extra fuel tank. So we'll dig into this, make sure that everything's good. If not, we'll figure something out. So let's figure this out. Well, just like that, the suspension is back in the car on both sides. The axles fit great. They have plenty of flex back and forth. They're nice and tight right now, so it's a little difficult trying to shift brand new stuff. But there is play in between there, which is awesome. Everything else turned out really good. Everything bolted up nice. Even got the rear stiffy bar mount back there. The front one, still trying to work out what I'm gonna do with this. I don't know whether to try and unbolt the engine mount and put a jack underneath the engine, try and get these back where they need to be. But the way that all the rest of it is set up, I don't think that's going to be feasible. So I might make a separate mount that will mount back here to the actual engine mount, which might be kind of cool. It'll give the outside riggers of the engine mount a little bit more support. That way it can't flex around as much, especially with all the rest of the tie-ins on this stuff. So we'll get to that a little bit later. We're gonna hop back into getting the fuel system all set up, and then we'll start cleaning up, painting some more stuff, and start getting a list for brake lines and hoses, stuff like that, and start trying to dig into the cooling system so we can finally set this car back down on the ground, see how height worked out. If I have to, I can trim out a little bit more fender. So we'll get to that point here in a minute and see where we're at. Now we are done with the rear suspension. We're gonna move up to the front suspension. He had ordered this the other day. So new steering damper. The one that's in there was working, but it's super sticky. There's a couple spots that are really hard to slide in and out of it. So it's a good thing that he did order a new one. So we got a new one. He did order the urethane steering coupler already. That was in the box. I mentioned it in the last video that you should probably order one. He already had one. And I found it right after I filmed that clip, of course. I'm not 100% sure on if he wants to use these or not. These are the tie rod boots. He did order new tie rod ends. So we'll go ahead and get those installed. The outer ones are already on the car. So we'll pull those out, and then we'll sand down the actual tie rod bars, get those painted up, get them all nice and clean, rebuild them, put them back together. So basically we'll get all the front suspension stuff pretty close to wrapped up, along with the fuel system stuff underneath. That way everything up front will be done. I can start wiring the fuel pump and all of that stuff. So let's hop into front suspension. Got the steering bushing all set in there. I kind of wanted to give you guys my kind of trick to get stubborn ball joints out. I use a pair of vice grips. I loosen up the bottom nut. That way it is not touching. It's just barely threaded on here down at the bottom. And what I do is I will take the vice grips, push up on the actual bushing. That way I can get it in as close as I can. And I will put vice grips on the bottom nut, and I will get it to where, this one's already popped off, but I will get it to where the vice grips are super tensioned on it. Get it to right where it almost doesn't want to click, but you get it to click. And then basically you take a hammer and you'll tap either the top of the ball joint or the actual arm itself or spindle. Hit it right where you can get to it, and the vibration from that will start to loosen up the ball joint. And with the tension on there, it helps just push the whole thing out. And if it's a really stubborn one, I'll actually vice grip it, beat it with a hammer a couple times, and then tighten the vice grip more and put more clamping force on it. And then smack it with a hammer some more. Eventually, you can finish pulling off the bolt and they will slide out. So these obviously have been in here for a very long time. So we'll clean up the actual tie rods, get those painted, and slide the new ball joints on the end. Get them all back installed. But now that all of this is open, I'm going to pull out the master cylinder here and get rid of that, and then I can paint all of everything in here now that it's all nice and open and clean. So we'll sand down some of this grime and nastiness, get it all painted, start mounting up the fuel pump and fuel filters, get all that situated. And once the master cylinder gets here, we can get that in. And I believe we're trying to figure out what to do with the clutch, because the clutch for the Subaru Trans is a hydraulic setup. So still trying to figure out what we're going to do with that. But once we do, I will let you know what the deal is with that. But we'll get all this stuff painted up, get all the fuel system stuff in here that we need, and start going from there. Got the disc brake master cylinder in today. So now I basically have everything to finish off everything that's underneath the gas tank. So we'll go ahead and get everything all painted up and pretty and start getting all this stuff finished off, and then we'll probably hop into wiring. So let's get all this installed. All right, guys, so unfortunately that's all I have for you this week. I am going to probably work on both cars Saturday and Sunday. Try and knock out the majority of Ryan's car. The computer system in his car is very simple, so I'll probably end up getting that plugged in. Run a couple wires for that, and probably finish off the fuel system. And then after that, it's radiator and coolant lines. A couple little things else to do with the car, like the braking system's got to be finished up. I'm going to probably dig through a lot of the original Volkswagen wiring harness, and change a couple things on that, make sure that everything's nice, clean, working, good to go. And then hopefully we should be able to fire it up and see how this thing sounds. Still not 100% sure on what we're going to do with the exhaust. I don't know if he's going to take it to a shop, or if I can figure something out, I might be able to make an exhaust for it, depending on, what mufflers, or if he wants mufflers, or how everything will go with that. We'll situate a little bit later, but gonna try and knock out a lot of stuff this weekend. Hopefully it's not too hot here in Sacramento. It's been over hundreds all these last 2.5 weeks. So it's really hot out here. Luckily enough, I have fans in the garage and stuff like that. So we'll just continue pushing on both cars. The bug stuff, I do have some very interesting bug stuff that I will be bringing up here pretty quick. I need to stop slacking and get to work on both the cars. Get the bug roadworthy. That way I can start driving it, start enjoying it, and start making better content for you guys. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Please consider subscribing. I'm not really one for pushing for that stuff, but it really does help. Thank you guys for all of my loyal YouTube watchers. You guys are awesome. So we will see you guys on the next one. Peace out, guys.